Hello and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. Today we're looking at Star Wars Outer Rim. I am Will, and with me is my Jedi Padawan,
Sarah.
And tell us, Sarah, about Star Wars Outer Rim.
Star Wars Outer Rim is a pick up and deliver board game with exploration and dice rolling mechanisms. So we picked this up because I was recording an episode of Our Turn podcast and Jesse Metcalf was talking about this. I mean, like talking about it, like raving about it. I mean, he gave it 5 out of 5 and everything he was saying about it, I was like, wow, why haven't we looked into this game yet? Because we both like Star Wars.
Yes. Well, we have to temper ourselves because we've seen other Star Wars games that, well, they slap a Star Wars thing on it, but it has little to nothing to do with Star Wars, or it becomes this massive miniature time sink that might not be our cup of tea.
Right.
We do like a heavy narrative experience, and I know when it comes to my enjoyment of Star Wars, I see a lot of the narrative enjoyment from the parts of Star Wars that aren't necessarily focused on Jedis.
True.
I actually do like the bounty hunters and the rogues of the galaxy. Fortunately, that's what this game is.
It is. It is this, and I guess this means we should move on to what we like about the game. We really love the story, the narrative, the exploration, because this really does present the Outer Rim. This is not where you're going to find the Jedi. This is the smugglers and the outlaws, and you're just trying to make a living and not get caught in case you're doing anything a little shady. So, yeah.
Yeah, you don't feel bad about making the rogue choices of, well, I'm transporting these illegal goods, wink, wink. I'm avoiding that and helping the Hutts, wink, wink. And it does it in a very nice, smooth way. In fact, let's talk about something else we really liked about the game.
Well, I mean, talking about the streamlined mechanisms, it's not bloated, and well, you kind of have to always compare to other games, and we did play Firefly, which is a pick up and deliver adventure exploration game of the world of Firefly.
In space.
Yes, Firefly is in space.
In space.
We found that one not to be our cup of tea because it focused a lot more on the mechanisms of the board game, or at least it felt like that's what we had to pay more attention to, was mechanically doing things rather than actually getting any of the story and the characters or what was going on. And it was not streamlined, and there were points that felt really clunky, and it was also a bit more on the punishing side, and so we don't particularly care for that aspect. This game can still have some bad dice rolls, but that's another thing that I really like is the dice mitigation. As you gain more gear and crew and you upgrade your ship, you get better doing things, and that feels very rewarding.
Yeah, this game sets you up with up to 2 types of jobs that you're going after, and it keeps the focus on those jobs. Whereas the Firefly game that we had an experience of, you had a job, and then everything else happened and got in the way of that.
Yeah.
This keeps a really good, tight focus of what the main purpose that you have in the galaxy at any given time.
And one other thing we really both liked is they did a great job setting you up to succeed. There's a how to play booklet, and there's a rules reference that's completely indexed. And now we don't have a lot of experience with Fantasy Flight games, but apparently this is pretty common for them to do. And it's fantastic because for the most part, it's pretty straightforward on how you do things.
Yes.
But there can be times where something gets a little complicated, and so you need to look something up, and rather than flipping through a bunch of, okay, was it in this phase? Was it in that phase? I know what it's called, but I don't know what page it was on. Well, you go to the index rule reference, and it's alphabetical, and you can find exactly what you need.
Yes.
So it really sets you up there. So what did we not like about the game?
One of the major issues that we didn't like, we did talk about in our two-player perspective, and that has to do with the jobs.
The
I should say the
characters.
character
Yeah.
classes, not so much the jobs, because the character classes define what jobs you're good at. And not all jobs are created equal, especially in a two-player experience. Bounty hunting, for instance, is very hard in a two-player game because you don't have extra players flipping up tokens. Now, I imagine a lot of that will equal out as you add in more players into the game. It's just unfortunate when our main experience of this game is just two
Yeah.
players, and we did run into that issue. So we even talked to a friend who's played this with multiple players, and he said there is one character, flat out, it's just the best in the game. So you'll have to keep an eye out for that to make sure you're not ruining your own experience by making sure that the right character goes with the right player and their skill level to kind of balance things out.
Yeah, you have to work a little harder on the meta level to make sure that if you want everyone to have a good experience, you have to do a little bit of extra research and homework on the different characters first. We haven't gone through and indexed any of them, but Board Game Geek has a lot of different threads talking about the levels of the different characters. Now, also, this game, unfortunately, the way it is right now, it lacks variety. I felt in the couple of plays that we had, we kind of looked at almost everything.
Yes.
I mean, we didn't go through every single card, but the decks are not very large, and there's not a lot of different things you can do. You can set up the rim, the arc of the planets in a different order because it's a puzzle piece, but shifting that will change some strategies and make certain jobs easier or harder, but there's only a little bit of variety. It feels like they really, I mean, thankfully focus on making a good system.
Yes.
But it's really kind of bare bones. And so we've only played it a couple of times because we don't want to burn it out on it. The good news is there should be an expansion coming, depending on when you've seen this video, early part of 2022. First couple of months, hopefully. It's hard to say with all the shipping issues going on, but hopefully that the expansion is going to help beef it up as well as improve the two-player experience.
Yeah, so if you're thinking of picking this game up and the expansion is out, it might be just a really good idea to pick up both. That does increase the price that you're putting into this game, but it does have the legs mechanically to really deliver a good experience.
Right.
However, that experience can run a tad on the long side. The average length of a game needs to go to 10 points. Well, we found in a shorter game that only went to 8 points that you kind of figured out who was winning the game pretty handily at that point, and it kind of felt like just running your tires.
Yeah, I am very firmly in the belief that I will never play, I mean, unless the expansion changes it somehow. As it is right now, I will never play this to more than 8 fame. Honestly, by the time you get to 6, you pretty much know who's won unless somehow you're really close together. But like in our first game, because of the character imbalance, I ended the game with 9 points, and I think you had maybe 3.
Maybe 3
points.
And I stretched that.
Yeah.
I saw she was closing in, so I was like, well, I have an easy point I could go for so I don't look like a complete noob here. But then again, that was an effect of choosing characters. She actually chose the best character in the game.
Yes.
And I chose a bounty hunter, which was hard for 2 players. So essentially, I was setting myself up for
Right.
failure and didn't have any idea I was doing that.
Yes, but even, that's true. But even then, just what's in this game currently delivers really well if you're going to 8 fame. Any more than that, and it feels like you're, I don't know how to put this, exploring too much. It's just going to keep going on, and the people who are losing are probably still going to lose, and the person who's ahead still going to get ahead. I mean, if you're playing with more people, maybe people will change places between second and third or whatever. But I think it's just a tighter experience. Now, granted, there's also in the rules that you could play up to 12 fame if you really want that epic exploration.
So the game doesn't break on you.
No, you may have to reshuffle some of those decks, and that may not be a bad thing.
Several times?
Several times.
Yeah.
That's true. Even in our games, we still had to reshuffle the decks. Like I said, the content here just doesn't feel like it was quite a full game, but it was still really good game. Just we wanted more from it.
Right.
I think the only last thing is, and this is just part and parcel with a game that relies on dice rolling to decide your outcomes, and I typically don't really care for that. There are times where the dice just roll bad for you, and your percentage chances of succeeding are on the lower end if you don't have the right preparation. But even with the right preparation, there's times where you are the best you can be, because you can only get so many bonuses to succeeding. You can never guarantee that you're going to succeed. You can just improve it. And so you can still fail. And for me, the type of gamer I am, I don't like that. However, you don't lose everything. You've lost your opportunity, the cost of that turn, taking it to roll, but you don't lose that job or that skill you were trying to overcome and succeed on. You still retain it, so you can try it again next turn.
Yeah. So I guess we're ready for our ratings.
Yes, we are.
So here on Rolling with 2, or Rolling with Reviews portion, we have a 1d6 worth of rating to give for each of us. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give our number and a reason why. Then we add those two numbers together to see what it rolled for us. Sarah, what did Star Wars Outer Rim roll for you?
It rolled a 3. Now, it has a lot of potential, and I am really hopeful that with the expansion, that rating is going to improve. But it's just so much of a mixed bag right now. There's good things, there's bad things, and they all kind of balance each other out. So this is not a great game. This is not a terrible game. There's aspects that I like and aspects that I don't like. And I think to tip those scales, it's going to take the expansion, which we just don't have yet. So I am very much middle of the road and just hopeful that the expansion will improve it.
For me, I will give it a 4. It, like Sarah says, has its rocky elements, but overall, I felt I had a Star Wars experience. And I can't say I've played other Star Wars games and come away with being able to say that. So it delivered in a number of narrative elements that I was really looking for. It was solid through and through with mechanics, light enough to be easy to pick up and go, complex enough to have a bit of depth, random enough to show that outcomes aren't certain. That made a really nice, good mix. However, it does have weak points in the fact that it doesn't have enough depth currently as it stands, and the two-player experience does require a lot of homework in order for you to get in and play it. So for me, I say it's at a good 4.
Yeah.
So between the two of us, that rolls a 7 out of 12. Better than average.
Yes, at least.
But it's our personal taste.
Yes.
Well, that will do it here at Rolling with Reviews. If you want to get a hold of us at any of our social medias, you can do that at
Rolling with 2, that's TWO. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course on YouTube. Please like and subscribe.
And again, I've been Will.
And I've been Sarah.
And we've been Rolling with Reviews.